So now it's onto the linings, and I've got my first lining piece on one of them, and we're going to put the slip pocket on. Now I've gone ahead with doing a little bit of it because you'll know how to do that. I'm just snipping the threads. I've put the fabric that's 10 inches by 10 inches, I've folded it in half, right sides together, and I've also put some fusible fleece on one side of it, approximately 5 inches, no, actually 4.5 inches by 9 inches, because I don't want the seams to be bulky. Doesn't have to be exact. I mean, this was a bit of spare piece and it just fitted, so that was fine. So I've sewn all around it and cut the corners, and then you turn it the right side out. And then what I will do is, we've got to top stitch just the top edge, because the rest of it will be stitched to the lining, so we don't want to have double stitches. So I've just pushed the corners out, got a bit of thread hanging there. I always put my snippers down and I forget where they are, so I've got them again now. And then of course we've got the edge where we've turned that we want to just iron closed, just to get that crisp finish. Sometimes in my bags, with the slip pockets, sometimes I put a bit of mind block. I've got a mind block on what it's called. No, some extra fabric that I fold over. I can't think what it's called. How ridiculous is that? It will come to me and then I'll put it in on the words on the screen, so watch for it. But anyway, I put it on the top. It just gives it a nicer look. So I've ironed that. I'm going to top stitch along there and come back. I finished top stitching, and now I want to place my slip pocket. If you want to think about where you want to lay it, if you get the back of your outer piece that you've done and sort of envisage where you're going to be placing it, you know, that would be too high, that would be too low, and sort of settle on where you'd like it. For me, I'd like it to be around there, which is about 1 inch under from where the band would be, although the band isn't on the inside, of course. So, measuring up from the top, that's 5 inches, 4 inches, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4 inches from the top. However, I've got to bear in mind that there's going to be a seam on there. So when I fold that over, it's going to be about 3.5 inches down. So what I want to do is get the distance from there to there first to get my centre point. So it's 13 3/4 of an inch. So that's 6.5. Oh goodness, that's working out, isn't it? So 6.5 will be that far, and then 3/4 will be, I can't see the lines. There, 2, 3 there, just under the 6.5 mark, sorry, 7 mark. So it's 1 notch under the 7. Oh, it's actually where that blue line is. So that's quite handy for me. I'm going to put a mark either side so I know that's my centre line. So, if you fold your slip pocket in half, and you can either mark it, obviously I have to switch to a light marker with my chalk. And what I want to do, because I'm going to be sewing down the centre of that in a moment, I'm going to draw a centre line that I will stitch down. So that's that. And now measuring 4 inches down from the top, and I've lined up the centre line there. That's where I want my slip pocket. I hope I've explained that clearly enough. So you measure the width to get your centre point, then mark 4 inches, well for me 4 inches down from the centre point, put my slip pocket there, and then pin it in place, because you don't want it to move, obviously, going over to the sewing machine. So there we have it. And now I'm going to sew down there along, making sure this is staying in and up. I will triple stitch over these edges just to make sure that as we're going in and out of the pocket it doesn't get ripped, and then do it exactly the same down the centre line so that we have the slip pocket in place. Okay, so I have stitched around the pocket, so it's now sewn to the lining. Finding all these little threads, look. I like to snip the threads as I go along, because there's nothing worse than showing a bag and then looking at the photo going, oh goodness, there's a stitch there that I didn't catch. So I've sewn the bottom in, and you've got 2 nice slip pockets that would fit your phone in, or you know, whatever you want to really, sunglasses, etc. So I've finished with this piece of lining now, and then for the zip pocket, so we've got the zipper facing, and that's where we start, and it's 1.5 inch down and 9 inches along. So what we want to do is put our ruler at the 1/2 inch line, and starting 1 inch in, draw a line to the other end 1 inch in. I think my friction pen's running out a little bit. And then again on the other side, 1 inch in, sorry, 1/2 inch, I beg your pardon, and then do the sides. So you've now got on half an inch by 8 inch box, and you want to now do a line 1 inch in from starting from there in the half of the box, so it's 1/4 inch up from the box edge, like that. I don't know if you can see that. That's it. So that's what you want, and then at either end just do like an inverted V. And you'll see why we do this shortly. So either end you've got the V, and now we want to decide where we're going to put our pocket piece, pretty much like we did with the one before that, and the bag is the same measurement, so we want to do 6.5, just under 6 3/4, or just under 7 really. And again, pretty much central line, that central line. So I've drawn my central line, and you want to get your centerpiece on the zipper facing, so you know where that's going to go. And then it's going right side down with the onto the lining fabric, and again giving half an inch room allowance for the seam. It's 3/8 of an inch, but let's just say half an inch. You want to bear that in mind, that it's going to be from the top. And I want my zipper to be 3 inches down from there. So it's 3.5 inches in fact, because of the allowance. So I put that there and put my zip in the centre line that up in the middle. Like that. Take the ruler away. And then I want to just pin on each end. And then we need to sew that. Okay, so we're at the machine, and I want to sew around the outside of the box, where the outer box that I drew. So started, do a back stitch, so that's it. I've sewn that on, so I can remove the pins, and we'll go back to my... So I've come back to my table, and now what I want to do is cut along that centre line and stop either side of the tip of the V's. You don't want to cut into where the V's are. So with my rotary cutter, cut a centre line, make sure I've gone all the way through, and then I get my lovely snippers, my fiskars, and I just want to make sure I go to the tip of the V, because I don't like to try going all the way with the rotary cutter, and then follow the line of the V, but make sure you don't cut into the corner of the stitching. Cut very close to it, but don't go over the line. And again, and then do the other end. Didn't cut all the way through with the rotary cutter. I need to change my blade. Okay, so again with the V. So you can see how close I am with the V. And then I get my ironing pad. And now you'll want to turn this inside out. I'll do it this way actually. So you're pulling it through all the way round, and then you get your iron and iron the folds. The seam, should I say, I beg your pardon. Pull that seam through. Wants to fight me on this end. I think because the materials are quite tough and strong. And then again on that side. And you really want to make sure that you've got nice, even creases. press it really well. And then when you turn it over, fold it in. And I'm going to inject some steam into this now. I'm not going to have my fingers right there. And I'm pressing really hard because I want a really, really crisp edge. So that's my zipper facing done. And we get the zip. And I just need to get my double-sided tape. Forgot I've got to start a new one. I live and die with this double-sided tape. I get it in 3 packs from Amazon. I think for around £5 or £6. It's amazing. This one is by Sticks Ultra Clear Tape, and this is the 3mm side. It's acid free as well, so it doesn't discolour if you're using it in paper crafts, etc., and photo frames. But it's 15 metres long, so it goes quite a way, although the rate I use it I bought the last 3 pack in beginning of November, so I'd say I use 1 a month with my bag making, which I don't think is too bad. And you want to put the double-sided tape along the edge of the crisp edging you've just ironed. I will show you a close-up of where it needs to be. Press that down flat. So the tape, it's hard to see it. I think I've got it there yet. That's where the tape goes, just along each box opening edge. And then you peel it off. Now, I can spend forever trying to get the plastic off. And my 6-year-old granddaughter, who I'm teaching to sew, she said, let me try, Grandma. And I said, oh, you won't be able to do it. It's really difficult. And she just peeled it straight off. She got the piece of plastic straight away and she peeled it off. And didn't I look silly? And we just burst into fits of laughter. But I've sussed it now by using these to get under there because my nails aren't very good. So that's now sticky. I get my zip, and usually you want your zipper pull with the zip closed to be on the left hand side so that you open it left to right. If you are left-handed or you want for some reason to have it the other end, by all means do. But this is the standard way. So I'm making sure my little zipper pull's facing that way. I'm just going to open it up a little bit. And now I want to lay this on top, making sure that the zip is centre in the window. It's lying on the centre, and it's okay because you can pull this off and lay it back down. And it's ultra sticky, this tape. So that's that. So now the tape is stuck down. The other thing I like to do is just cut a little bit of the tape off and put it on the end of the box where the zipper tape is, the zipper pull is, because the when you pull the zipper back, it wants to open up. The tape wants to open up. So I like to just make sure that it's going to stick down and stay firm. So there we have it. And now I'm going to stitch around the outer edge, which I will show you. Okay, so now we're at my other machine with the different coloured thread, and we want to start stitching around. You can use a zipper foot if you want to, but I don't really feel the need to. And I'm going to start along here, away from the zipper pull. And okay. Now I'm getting near to the zipper pull, so I want to move the pull to past the machine where I've been sewing, so it doesn't get caught up with my foot, and start sewing again. So that's it. We've sewn the zip around, so that's all stuck fast now. And now it's attaching the zipper pocket to the back. So it doesn't matter what colour thread I'm using here because the pocket's on the inside. So I shall stay at this machine to save moving the camera. And turn the bag over, the bag panel I should say. And I want to, keep slipping off, add the top of the zipper pocket face down onto the top of the zip. Can you see what I mean? Looks a bit dark from where I'm seeing. So on top of there, that's where I want my zip pocket to be, covering both ends. Just pull it away a bit. So you can pin it here, etc, etc, or tape it, whatever you like. I'm being very naughty and I'm not going to. But I want to stitch. You fold the top down and you're going to sort of stitch all the rough edges of the zipper facing that you've turned inside out, and you know, the cut edges. I'll show you in a minute exactly where it is. So reverse stitching again, and you are literally sewing along the edge of the folded fabric, making sure you don't catch the folded piece. Now, I have been sewing for 45 years and I've been bag making for about 8 years. So I'm confident in not having to use pins and clips, etc. in certain circumstances. So don't feel that you should not use them because I haven't. You know, do by all means, if you feel the need to, use them. So this is the sewn edge. This is what I mean. We've stitched all these edges in, and the zip. We've caught the zip in there, and that's the other side. And then if you turn it over, pull the zip back, and you can look inside, you'll see there's no rough zip edges or anything. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Oh, my dog's come to see what we're up to. Hello, Bailey. So turn this back over, And now what you want to do is pull the pocket up to have the bottom edge of the pocket piece sitting along the bottom edge of the zipper, just as we did before. Fold the fabric over and stitch again. Okay, sorry about that. I had to go off suddenly as I'd noticed that a thread I'd been using earlier had got caught up on the hand wheel of my machine, and it had been going round and round and round, and it got very tangled. So hubby to the rescue, took off the hand wheel, detangled everything and put me back together. So we've stitched all the way along there. And we want to just check in the pocket to make sure we've corked everything nicely and there's no gaps, which there aren't. And I'll just snip that piece of thread. I'm just zooming out a bit. Now what we want to do is hold the fabric upright. Close the zip, hold the fabric upright, turn it over, and we want to zip stitch the zip pocket closed at the sides now. We have to do it hanging down like this. If we just hold it like that and stitch the pocket closed like this, it's then going to be up here and it's going to be completely wrong. So it must be hanging down. And then grabbing the end, fold the lining piece over, and you're going to stitch down around about 1/2 to 1 inch closed. You basically want to catch the end pieces here, not there, but you want to catch the end pieces here. So you'll have an excess of fabric. Oh, and now my cotton has decided to come out. Gosh, it's all happening here. Okay, start again. I want to show you something that makes a nice change to a pocket. You know when you've got a pocket and you get bits and pieces and fluff stuck in that corner and it's quite irritating. You can eliminate that by eliminating the corner. And what I do is I carry on stitching down. As I get towards the end, I bring it in at a curve. And that's my trick for eliminating corners. You can draw it if you want to, if you're worried about not being exact, but I'm used to doing it, so I sort of tend to get it in an okay position. And they can't see it from inside, so it doesn't matter if it's not exactly the same mirror image. So there we go. And okay, so that's that stitched. So if the bag was the other way around, this is what I mean. The pocket wouldn't hang right if you didn't have it sat correctly. So that's the pocket sewn up, and the curved edges. We'll trim that. I'll just trim it to get some of the bulk away. And here's your pocket. And you've got nice curved corners. I don't think you're going to see in there, but you may do. Anyway, so that's your zipper pocket done. Now, if you like sewing, you have your own labels that you like sewing onto your bags, which I do, now's the time to do it. And I'm just cutting one off. And how I add it is, I've got my label there. I fold the ends over. These labels I got from Name Tape Express. A very good company. I think they were, oh, I can't remember how much they were. They were on Etsy, plus they've got their own website. But they were very good price. Otherwise I wouldn't have bought them. And I got a lot of them. But they're very good. So I'm cutting a little bit of double-sided tape off. Now, sometimes I glue it, but if I glue it, I'm going to have to wait for that to dry, and I don't want to wait for it to dry. So I'm just putting a little bit of tape on, because I want the edges to stay folded in whilst I'm sewing. And it's just a way of securing the edges. So I've put the tape on the ends there. Peel the plastic off. And then fold the edge in, and that's it, it's stuck down. And again. So the two edges are folded over, and now we want to put this in place. And again, I'm going to use some tape. Obviously, if you don't use bag labels, which I suspect if you're watching this you don't yet, because you're probably a novice bag maker, but you may not use labels yet. But then again, who knows, you may do. So again, I've just put some of the double-sided tape on the ends, which I shall peel off. And it's a bit fiddly. That's it. Now I want to find the centre point of the zip. And these little bits of plastic get everywhere. They're very static, and they stick to your fingers, and you keep putting them in the bin and they keep getting attached. So you want the centerpiece of the zip, so measure it, and it should be 8 inches, and it is. So you've got the 4-inch mark, and what I do is I fold it in half, right sides together, and then lay the centre of it at the 4-inch mark. I don't know if you can see that I'm doing, it's a bit cack-handed. I'm not a camera person, I'm not a professional, so bear with me if this is a bit amateurish. I am an advanced bag maker, but very much a novice filmmaker. So that's that done. And now we just want to stitch it onto the bag. And it's a very quick and easy stitch, and just a case of going backwards, forwards and over a few times. That's one side done. Both sides are done, and I'm now looking for my slippers again, which I seem to spend my life doing, So that's that. And there, my label's attached. So that's the two linings sorted out. And now we have to sew them together like we did with the outer panels. Only we're going to leave a gap of between 4 and 6 inches, depending on how thick your fabric is, etc., and how stiff it will be to turn. So I'm probably going to leave a 4-inch because all this fabric is quite flexible. So I shall grab the other piece and come back when I've put it together.